Buckle up, everyone, because we're about to introduce a legend who's probably already beaten the final boss of life twice. He's a guy who's been building Age of Empires with the rest of us. We're still figuring out how to save our progress. You think juggling a few projects is tough? Try juggling entire worlds like Creativeverse and Halo Worlds, while also casually dipping into VR with Lucky's Tale just to keep things interesting and revolutionizing mobile gaming with Words with Friends. It's like he's speedrunning through the gaming industry, collecting titles and achievements like their power-ups. Just when you thought he might take a breather, he's back with his wildest idea yet, with Wildcard, because apparently conquering every other platform wasn't enough for this guy, and more news for that later. So give a standing ovation or just spam the chat with applause emojis for the man, the myth, the magician. It's Paul Bettner. What's up, Paul?
What's up, yo? Hey, Peyton, you killed it, man. You're doing it like 2x speed. I was like, do I have my phone turned to like extra speed or something?
Yeah.
Making Sam sound slow. That was amazing.
You,
And yeah, there's not enough platforms for me to conquer. Just keep inventing them. I'll keep showing up. That's like my addiction, you know. I find some amazing new thing that is making games better, and I run right for it and try to build games on it. So here we are.
Oh, is that Paul?
Yeah, that's Paul, Jerry.
Oh, wow. Hey, Paul. Good to see you here. I didn't see you in Asia.
I didn't know I was going to be here. It was great to see y'all in Singapore, by the way. I
Well,
love
not y'all,
Singapore. That is an
'cause you
amazing
didn't
city.
See me, but yeah.
No, not you. I would have remembered that.
Oh my gosh, I love that. Well, good to have you up here, Paul. But we got a new one here. Gather around, adventurers, because we're about to introduce the architect behind one of the most epic online realms you've ever seen. He's been forging the world of Raven Dawn since 2017, laying down the foundation for quests that would put your grind to shame. As a COO of Tavern Light, he's guiding Raven Quest to be the next great saga in the world of gaming. When he's not steering the ship, he's battling his way through gaming legends like Final Fantasy, World of Warcraft, Arcade, Tibia, and RuneScape. So please give it up for the Dungeon Masters of Digital Dreams, the Titan of Taverns, and the King of Quests. It's the Knight of the Raven Realm, Nicholas Niter. What's up, Nick?
Hey, how's it going, man? Incredible intros. Holy shit. I didn't think I would get a hype one like that as well. Excited to be here, though. Thanks for having us.
Nah, love it. I know that you are probably a repeat offender of listener, but I'm glad that you're on stage, and congratulations on the success with the Raven Quest so far. Next up, ladies and gentlemen, get ready to be dazzled by the man who got juggle millions like they're marbles and manage a budget bigger than your wildest dreams. He's the architect behind Glitter Cloud Solutions, a sparkling Web3 consultancy with a name as sweet as a daughter who inspired it. He's not just a financial wizard, one who wielded $100 million budget at Twitch Prime, but also beloved figure in the world of Web3 gaming for sure. Love him to death. Let's give a warm welcome to the Titan of Twitch, the Baron of budgets. It's Tony V.
Let's go. Stoked to be here, guys.
Love you, Tony. All right. And for 22 out of 23 years, he gamed on computers so terrible they made dial-up looking dazzling, forcing him to master indie games while others PTSD from COD lobbies. In college, he snagged back-to-back sobers in Super Smash Bros. Tournaments, showing he's a contender in any arena. Now, when he's not lifting the weight of the world as a strongman bodybuilder, he's crafting marketing magic for Stardust. Give it up for the incomparable, the unstoppable Wills. What's up, Wills? I think you're behind the start.
How we doing? Just got back from Singapore, and the last day I was so tired I couldn't leave my room, so I just played Balatro for 6 hours straight. And you can do it if you turn it on; it will not.
Yeah,
turn itself
Balatro!
off. So
Shout
just
out!
a warning to everybody else. But yeah, stoked to be back, and I'm also bummed that I missed Paul in Singapore. So me and Jerry are
Is
in that club.
Balatro out on mobile? I heard it was coming. I only played it on the Switch.
No, it's not. It's coming on the 28th or 29th.
Oh my gosh.
Soon.
This game, it rocks. I love it.
Love it. Well, good to have you, Wills. Next up, emerging from the venerable vaults of Europe's high-stakes venture domains, he's managed over 1 billion assets, providing the calculus of risk and reward is but child's play in his seasoned hands. Next, he helmed the Web3 gaming division of Wildlife Studios, a behemoth in a mobile gaming with a valuation of $3 billion. Now, as the founder and CEO of Jungle, with For the Win poised to redefine mobile FPS titles, the gaming universe watches with bated breath. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a mastermind of mobile, the sultan of strategy, the visionary of venture, representing Jungle. It's Joao. What's up, buddy?
What's up, guys? Good to be back, and yeah, nice to see you in Singapore.
Yeah, man, it was great seeing you. Also got to talk with you more, and I love it. I love it whenever we get together. Whether it's building sporting good empires or assembling a tent on your grave, he's building 360s. He's pulling off 360s on the slopes and 360 no scopes and shrapnel, bouncing from Brussels to Brazil and back again. It's the sharpshooter of shrapnel, the undisputed king of controllers. The redemption arc continues with Dub. How are you doing, Dubby?
Dude, someone grab me a napkin because I can't stop crying because I'm so fucking proud of you, dude. Like, you're just knocking these out like a fucking champ, dude. This is art in the making, and I'm so glad to be here for it.
Yeah, knocking him out like I'm knocking Dub out in Karate Combat soon.
Oh, shoot, bro.
Jerry,
Hey,
don't talk shit when you can't step up to the fight, bro. I'm gonna stop that right here.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Okay, next up. He once shaped the skyline as an architect, designing jaw-dropping skyscrapers before swapping blueprints for betas, running a music blog, and spending from groovy years producing music videos. Now he's a visionary behind Eureka, the 8th continent, where golden nugget NFTs are the treasure of the day, a firm believer that Web3 gaming is inevitable. Please welcome the skyscraper sculptor, the master of music, the sovereign of the 8th continent. From Eureka, it's Jordan.
These really are beautiful, Peyton. You're doing a fantastic
Thank you,
job.
buddy.
I'm just lucky and honored to be here, honestly. Let's get talking Web3.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Get ready to meet a man who's been through the fire, literally, and now he's here to set the Web3 world ablaze. He's token on the ultimate challenges, user acquisition on the wild west of Web3 at Uptick, a marketing agency with experience acquiring Web2 users looking to take the Web3 to the masses. So welcome to the panel, the flame taming, mech piloting, user acquiring extraordinary, Jerry the Golden God Singer, dude. It was good to have a 2-hour convo with you the other day, buddy. Love you to death.
Ooh, it was a very great convo. And Peyton, if I may, I left you
Yes.
with a little piece of homework, which was to show that Peyton does a show on Mondays with a co-host named Icy. Did you have him watch Band of Brothers like he needs to after what he did to me?
No, I have not. Band of Brothers is a great show, by the way.
It is, and he needs to watch it.
Okay. I'll watch it with him. We have gaming night tonight on Wolves. We'll just replace it with Band of Brothers.
Yeah, all right, good.
All right, sounds good. Crafting killer content that captures hearts, conquers algorithm. His capitulated follower accounts into the stratosphere for not 1, not 2, but 5 social media accounts in the past several years. He's transformed a mere mortal company into the Arctic Titan, a colossus in the cold, competitive tundra. Rewind to 2019 with the captain of clicks, clinch the converted crown of search engine marketer of the year by setting standards and showcasing the sheer power of SEO supremacy. He's a prince of page rankings, the master of memorable merchandise, the archangel of Avalanche. From Avalanche, it's Coop. That was a tough one, Coop. But I love you.
Yeah, you did great. You're killing these. Thanks for having me as always.
Love you, buddy. Love you. Love you. All right. And then I think we also have Omar's in the crowd, but I'm going to introduce him anyways because he's here and he's going to be up here soon. Hold on to your Wi-Fi and get ready for a whirlwind tour from the wild sands of Dubai. He's wielded his wisdom to whisk the world's best brands like Emirates, L'Oreal, Ubisoft, Nvidia, Riot, Red Bull, Activision, Epic into the spotlight. Just those little names. From the wellspring of PokerStarter Gaming, he whipped up the wondrous realm of Games3.gg, the ultimate wonderland for Web3 gaming enthusiasts. Welcome to the panel, the wondrous, the wild, the wizardly. From Games3.gg, it's OG.
Yeah, Peyton, this is it's different gravy, bro. I love Sam, but the energy is maybe you're excited because of Singapore, but I feel something in your voice.
I was excited to see you as well, man. And then Lems, I have Corey's somewhere. Can you find it for me so I can do it? So apologies for that one. But while we get that one up, whether he's leaping into the latest lively discussions or lifting up our stage, the lovable lizard is always leading the pack at just 2.4 pounds. He's a little legend with a larger-than-life presence. It's the co-host, Lems. And then
what is up, guys? And how have we lost Corey's one? It was right here.
It was right there, but it's okay. While we get up Corey's though too, I just also want to take a moment here, and this is a little bit more somber, but it's actually a co-host with Corey. Still thinking of Knock. Last we heard, he's still in the hospital. So for people that are currently just wanting an update there, so yeah, currently still in the hospital. I think he has progressed in the more positive way, and so we're praying for our Gamified family member every day. So keep your thoughts and prayers with him when it comes to Knock, man. I freaking love him, and we can't wait to have him back. But yeah, speaking of the co-host of Knock and Corey's show, prepare to take flight on a journey buzzing with innovation with hexagon shape. The landscape and honey is the currency of power. It's the hive of his imagination where the drone of the blockchain be heard the hum of thousands of wings. The beeline of brilliance, the patriarch of the pixelated pollen, the co-pounder of Honeyland. Please welcome Corey Wright.
Hey, thank you so much, Peyton, and good to be back from Asia, but it was also really cool to get to see everybody, so cheers.
Yeah, love it. And yeah, it was really good to see you, and also it warmed my heart whenever you said, oh yeah, I hugged Peyton, and I loved hugging you, and I loved how brilliant of a human being you are, man. You're just freaking amazing. All right, here we go. We're going to get to thank our wonderful sponsors here. So before we dive headfirst into the high-octane, pixelated, pounding pendulum that is gamified, let's take a moment to acknowledge the real powerhouse making all this possible, Avalanche, the official blockchain of gamified. Avalanche is out here proving why it's the king of the hill. With its new Avalanche 9000, they're making it easier, cheaper, and more featured pack than ever to deploy your own layer 1 blockchain and clap the competition like a pro gamer with an aimbot, pretty much like Dub. Imagine owning your own block space where your community validates your chain and your own token fuels the gas, keeping every bit of value where it belongs. So remember that Avalanche is the engine powering gamified. And elsewhere on Avalanche, there's a game more explosive than a noob with a rocket launcher. Let's get a shout out to Shrapnel, the official game of gamified, full of headshots and hilarity. It's the ultimate extraction shooter that's not gamers were more hooked than a grappling gun in a tight spot. With TSM Myth as an advisor, they're coming for Web 2. The game isn't just about survival though, it's about thriving in the chaos where the monthly STX events have gamers battling it out for Sigma like the last slice of pizza at a LAN party. That's hilarious, which is powered by Stardust. Let's high five the force field that's keeping your digital assets safe and sound. Our sponsor, Stardust, the official infrastructure of gamified. In the vast, often treacherous expanse of Web3, having a reliable wallet isn't just important, it's a mission critical. Stardust is an all-in-one solution that acts like your personal shield generator, safeguarding your user assets. Stardust does not just secure your cargo, though, it makes onboarding smoother than a hyperspace jump, ensuring you can navigate the Web3 galaxy without a hitch. It's a universe where security breaches can feel like asteroid impacts. Stardust is a dependable co-pilot you need. With our assets locked down and secure, it's time to hit the thrusters and dive into today's adventure. So thank you. Big shout out to Avalanche, Shrapnel, and Stardust, which is also
Dude, Peyton, you set a record. That's 350. That's 15 minutes in, and you got through that. I don't think Sam's ever done that. Congratulations.
Paul, you know me. You don't do 1.5 or 2x. You know, I've said. So hopefully, I know it was like I saw the 20-minute. I was like, oh, do I have to wait for this? But let's get into the topics, shall we? This is Bullish or Bullshit. Dookie Dash Unclogged. Bored Ape Dookie Dash Unclogged launches with $1 million in prizes. Dookie Dash is back, and now it has a creator mode, allowing players to upload 3D models or 2D art to create on-chain assets that are playable in-game and tradable on Faraway Shop. Season 1 kicks off with a weekly in-game leaderboard for players to battle it out to win a variety of prizes. The most prestigious being a golden plunger. A lot of people remember that one last time. These golden plungers are NFTs that will act as player tickets to the end of season tournament with $1 million in cash prize pool. Players can get their hands on these NFTs by ranking in the top 250 finalists on the season leaderboard, or by getting lucky on the Wheel of Dookie. That's funny. And then, is this a resurgence for Yuga panel, or is this get the attention back for Yuga, or is Yuga too far away from their former glory? And Far Away is the company that they are currently.
Far Away.
Thank you, Lex. Please laugh. All right, Dub.
Yeah, dude. I started out the week and on Simplified, like really hating on it. But after hearing what the Faraway team had to say, what Jonah had to say, and all that, I have a different opinion. I'm excited about what they're doing.
Can you give us a recap of that? I missed that, so I'm actually where you were earlier this week, and I'm curious what they said that got you excited.
Yeah, exactly. So the creator mode has a bit more of like actual UGC elements with this form of stickers and actually modifying the gameplay. So I was going into this with the impression that we had the same game, we had $1 million, and that's what we're doing. But they've clearly put a lot of thought into this and a lot of like new tech, especially on the creator UGC side of things, and they're rolling that out now. I've never played the game. I've never even downloaded the game. I'm going to take a look and form my own opinion through the gameplay. But overall, excited to see that they're doing it, and props to them on coming on the stage and saying I was full of shit while I was shitting on them. So props to the team all around.
So do you think, Dub, so that's like the Faraway team, right, in Jonah? So that's the Faraway team, but do you think that's also will try to bring Yuga back to its former glory, or at least get some attention back on Yuga as like a
at least some attention? And like my original comment still stands, where I feel like when they're not playing with the speculation and just saying that there's $1 million rather than giving us like a key or some cool NFT to talk about the story with and speculate on, it feels like they're Star Wars without the lightsaber. And that still lands true, but hopefully they find some stuff with the gameplay and some success there.
That's hilarious. I love that. Corey.
Yeah, Peyton, it's your question kind of like, is this good for Yuga? I think at the end of the day, a lot of Web3 gaming is pandering to your community and like giving them something to be really excited about, as much as it is bringing new people in, which is crazy to hear. And I think that we'll progress far beyond that eventually. But I think this certainly hits on that. I downloaded and played today. I was never a part of Dookie Dash early, the original season of it. So I didn't really have a lot of perspective or hadn't even really seen gameplay or been interested. I'm just so buried in the Solana ecosystem that like getting into ETH is just a little bit weird for me. But I was really impressed. Like the game it's got great graphics. It's cool UI. Like it's really done well. I know I build mobile games. Like it's really, really tough to nail some of this stuff. And I think they've done a good job. I think having Faraway being the team behind it is pretty bullish. It's available in app stores to get like mass distribution, which I think is really, really cool. There's legit prizes to be won. The UGC elements that Dub kind of talked about, I think are really cool. I think it's part of what Web3 is kind of this decentralized marketplace where people play. There's a lot of different ways to play the game in Web3, and being a creator, I think, can be one of those. My big takeaway, though, is that it's not really a Web3 game. It's a Web2 game. It just feels very Web2y. It's all in-app purchases done in cash. There's no real utility for the ape token. I guess you can win the golden plungers and convert them into NFTs, but that's a publisher decision. We could track player accounts and allow entry into a tournament without it having to be an NFT. I guess it becomes tradable, but it feels like a good Web2 game that's kind of a fun meta, and I think just kind of taking it in a more like a PG-13 way than traditional endless runners have done it. That's a little bit more edgy and fun, and again, I think pandering a lot to the community. So we'll see where it goes, but it's a cool game. I don't think there's a lot to hate on it from that standpoint. I would just love to see it push the bounds of really what Web3 can unlock that Web2 can't, and that's what I feel like is missing.
Great points, and I think so good of a point that Coop put his hand down. So love it. Wanderers, which is Tony.
Oh, I'm bullish, boys. Let me tell you why. Because we're talking about some. I mean, it's not random. It's Yuga, but like we're talking about a mobile game being successful on the App Store. And a year ago, we were talking about maybe the idea that something might exist on a Web 2 mainstream distribution platform may happen one day. And so I'm bullish. Even if Dookie Dash flies straight into the toilet and flushes itself, I think that the precedent is real good, and it bodes well for the rest of the space.
Great point. Who's behind the Avalanche account? Is that you, Alex?
It is. It's your boy
All right.
Sneaky Che.
Pause. I get your intro, buddy. I love you to death. I gotta get you real quick. Introduce the digital currency conquistador. Thank you, Spam, for that one. Who started his stellar saga slinging coins in the super lucky slots and skyrocketed to superstardom in the Cincinnati sphere, or I don't even know what that is. Word is esports engine, starting sensational shows like Fortnite World Cup and Twitch Rivals. Since 2017, this blockchain behemoth has been blazing trails in Web3, weaving wealth and wisdom with Saft and Safe during the ICO Inferno. On top of that, this man is consistently a top 30 parallel player in the world, putting precision to the madness. Ladies and gentlemen, brace yourself for the pinnacle of parallel, representing gaming on AVAX. It's Alex. What's up, Alex?
Yo, appreciate that, Peyton. I'm sorry that I missed all the friends out in Singapore. I was down at TwitchCon, hanging out with the Web2 gamers, a couple of Web3 folks there. Still, I think that's a really good gauge for penetration to mainstream, and we are definitely not there. Especially since so many folks on this panel felt they're more inclined to go to a crypto conference versus like a traditional gaming streaming conference. Hopefully, in the future, we don't have those conflicts and everyone can go to these Web2 gaming events. But like Tony, like a lot of the panelists up here, I'm super bullish on Dookie Dash and their $1 million prize pool. Of all the titles that I've been exposed to in the Yuga portfolio between Heavy Metal, Other Side, and Dookie Dash, like Dookie Dash is the best by far, in my opinion, just from playability, game loop, all that stuff. And I think timing wise, right, the reason why they're sort of reactivating it is because you see so much momentum on not only Endless Runner, but like these really hyper casual, just clicky games on Telegram and Ton. Especially, I think last week there was a topic of Flappy Bird coming back. So if you see all of these, hyper casual games working on mobile, I think it makes a lot of sense for Yuga to try to lean into that narrative with an IP that they already have, Dookie Dash, and see if that can, breathe new life into the Yuga Labs.
Great points, Jerry.
Yeah, as one of the only people who spoke highly of Dookie Dash on this panel, the internet lives forever, guys, and I remember you guys all shitting on it while Knock and I defended it. So shout out to Knock and myself. I remain bullish, but I have a little bit of concern. I think it's fun. I really like the game. I liked it the first time while you guys all made fun of it. Um, I really like one thing about the game on mobile, and it's that they have a really good first time user experience, or what we call, you'll hear other people talk about this and they'll say fatui. It's really good, it's really tight, it's really quick, it gets you into the game quickly, and you get caught up to speed on how to play. Um, and I really like that. One of my Web3 icks is games ignoring what the first time user experience is like. And it's a nick of mine because it crushes retention, right? When people don't know how to play your game, they won't play it. And I really respect them for putting some time and effort into that. Where I have a little bit of concern is I'm not a big UGC guy. I know everybody says it's the future or whatever. It doesn't really move the needle for me. So while like it's exciting to some, I don't think that's enough to like take an endless runner and make a hit out of it. Like, is UGC stickers going to make it the next Subway Surfers? No. Is it cool? Kinda. But it's not going to take a game and then you're not going to turn in from Otis Nixon to Ken Griffey for my '90s baseball fans out there. The other concern that I have is I think I looked at App Store data. I logged into Sensor Tower and looked at the App Store data, and I think they've already hit what they can get organically without going into like paid marketing efforts. Yeah, I don't really want to use Sensor Tower to like knock another team, but I think they've gotten some really good installs for being live for 5 or 6 days, but I think the downloads and the spend is already slowing down a little bit, and that it can be bolstered with some paid efforts, and it can be bolstered. Really, it's evergreen once you start to get into like paid UA for a game like this. But organically, I think they've already kind of hit their max momentum, and they're going to start seeing a little bit of slowdown from that.
Nice, bringing out the data. Love it, Jerry. How dare you? It's Web3.
Big data guy.
Yeah, it's Web3, dude. No data here. Coop.
Hey, first off, we hired Alex, so he's going to be here for a little while, at least for like this month to do spaces. Really happy to have him because he did great at Shrapnel. Got to recognize people working hard in space. And then, yeah, I'm pleased with Dookie Dash, and I also think Far Away is kind of shining and has a lot of potential. They're like Dookie Dash is kind of one of the first things that I'm looking at from them, and I'm just happy with what I see. For Yuga, I mean, because it's not them making the game, I feel like the IP is getting used, and it's like kind of cool. But Yuga's still pretty much on their own on this. So I think those are my takes. Also, I think Jerry has peaked organically. We'll have to see.
I'm not on
hilarious.
Performance enhancing drugs yet.
Yeah, not just yet, Jerry. Soon, Joao.
Yeah, just want to double down on that. I think you can actually be bullish, far away, bearish, Dookie Dash and bearish Yuga, right? The fact that they came in, ate all of kind of like the gaming portfolio of Yuga, probably at a massive discount, and acquired that to become this kind of like holding company publisher platform. I think it's very bullish long term for Farway. I don't know whether they hit it directly with Dookie Dash. I think that IP has its own kind of like genre PMF to crack, which will be tricky. And I don't think the Web3 IP of like Yuga or Dookie Dash will help kind of penetrate. But I do kind of massively respect here the move that they did behind the scenes to kind of acquire all of these assets at once and consolidate the company, right? Before they had what Mini Royale, now they have a whole portfolio, a much bigger play, right? So I think you just gotta give credit where it's due there.
Great points. Wow, Paul.
I'm skeptical. I've been sitting here. I didn't put my hand up till the end because I haven't played it, and I was just waiting to hear other people's impressions and where people were coming from. But like, I'm not buying it. Mobile gaming is brutally difficult space to succeed in. As Jerry was saying, something very wise here. It's all just a game of arbitrage. It's about, are you making more money on your users and your spending user acquisition once you've gone past that organic peak, which sounds like they have, and that makes sense to me. And I don't hear you guys describing any features or aspects of this that is going to give them some kind of advantage with Web 2 gamers or mobile gamers. You're not saying that the game is like so amazing, the most amazing thing you've ever seen. Stuff like having a good Fatui is like table stakes for mobile, and like doesn't really even do anything. The world of mobile these days, like you can have the most spectacular game, and if you don't have the most killer distribution strategy or some sort of unfair advantage, like it just doesn't matter. So you'd have to believe that the Yuga brand was so strong that it was going to be that user acquisition, that distribution advantage for them for this game. And I don't hear anybody that argument, and I certainly wouldn't make it, as much as Yuga is the titan in Web3, and I'm grateful for them and amazing all the work they've done. It doesn't really translate into millions of actual gamers yet, as we all know. And then, I was kind of hoping as the last thing to hear be somebody talk about an incredible Web3 incentive or something, like we were saying early on, like some exciting, thrilling new twist on giving out some keys that are going to unlock something, or just something like that might, at least as Web3 users, get us really excited. But I'm not hearing that either, so it's leaving me pretty bearish. Like I'm not exactly sure why we think this is going to succeed. All I'm left with is this UGC angle. But honestly, and I'm the biggest fan of UGC, the only thing that might excite me there would be like maybe like a Mario Maker style take, where you have like some set of users trying to create impossible levels that nobody can beat except them, and then other users trying to beat that. Like, I could see some angle like that being really compelling and streamable. But stickers, like, no, that's not it. So yeah, I'm still bearish, but I'll take a look and we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. That's all those announcements or those notifications on Wad Paul's phone, as Yuga calling them. Next up
Sorry.
is oh, you're good, Paul. You're good. OG, Koji, and then we'll end with Lems here to move on to the next topic.
Yeah, this is why I was sad I didn't get to meet you in Singapore, Paul. I agree. I think yeah, it's interesting how we're viewing this IP conversation relative to the Flappy Bird IP conversation. Knowing that Flappy Bird definitely has the more recognizable nostalgic IP, but you could talk about the way they approach things. But in my opinion, I mean, sure, Far Away, um, it's a win for them. I don't know if you can say it's a win for Yuga necessarily. I know people felt a certain type of way when they realized that they were starting to sell some of their game IP. And to Paul's point, like, I don't know, would you play this over Subway Surfers, for example? I don't understand. Like, there's nothing that really compels me to play this. I don't want to sound like a hater. It's nice to hear everyone kind of being positive and everything, but at the end of the day, like, the question I ask myself is like, would you play this? And would someone that doesn't know anything about crypto also want to play this? And I think the Yuga brand definitely comes with a lot of pros, but it also definitely comes with a lot of cons. Like, when you ask someone on the street if they know anything about NFTs, typically like the joke they'll make is like, "Oh yeah, the monkeys that sell for like millions of dollars." And if that's the IP that you're looking to break into, traditional Web2 gaming as a scene with, I don't know. Like, yeah, I agree with everything Paul said. I think if there's like a reason, if there's a compelling thing, I mean, last season or whatever, however long ago it was, when the Fortnite kids were killing it, and like that was the main story. People were saying, "Oh, this Fortnite Pro just made 4 times more money in this silly NFT game compared to his entire career." Like, sure, I think these stories will probably go far if there is the same kind of incentivization. But besides that, like, I don't see it. So I'll sit this one
I
out.
just I double down on that. Like I don't think any of us should rule Yuga out, because they have been able to surprise us and do things. And so, like, if they've got some story waiting in the wings or some angle, some headline like the one that they pulled off for the last Dookie Dash, then I'm not going to be surprised. I'm going to be like, oh look, they did it again. But I just haven't heard that yet. So maybe they've got some idea
Yeah,
or some
though
angle for how to pull that off.
I would say to double down on Paul's double down, the rollout of Dookie Dash was a little quiet. It just kind of came out, and then everybody was talking about it, and I was like, man, I would have expected like a little bit of a press run before it. And maybe that happened, and I was just in Singapore and didn't see it. But I mean, I'd happy to be wrong on this. But did they really do a big marketing push before this, or no?
Not that I've seen, but again, like maybe they've got some strategy that's cooking in the background. They're like, we're gonna have this moment where this thing happens. We reveal some asset nobody's ever seen before, or something like that. Like I just want, that I kind of wanted to defend the future internet people coming and saying that I shit on it, because I think that Yuga has pleasantly surprised us all in the past, and I would love for them to pull that moment off here now, but I just haven't heard it yet.
Yeah, I'm the chronically online one in the group and can say they did not do a marketing run leading into this.
Yeah, I know. If Dub downloaded it or just downloaded today, they definitely didn't do marketing. Koji.
Yeah, sorry for being late, guys. I'm sure I missed an illustrious intro. I'm sad that I wasn't here since the beginning, but all I can say is that it's obviously chalked if the most positive man on the internet, Paul, is like, I'm not sure about this. What he was too nice to say.
I hate when that happens, y'all. I can be critical of things.
No, what he's too nice to say. If he's like questioning it, it means that it's like fucking garbage. Okay, and I don't want to. I don't want to like upset anybody. I haven't played it either. I'm not saying that I think it's garbage. I'm just reading between the lines and just telling you guys, like it's fucking over. You know, it's not Dookie Dash, just straight up Dookie. So let's.
I was gonna say I was proud of the panel for not making puns, and then Koji came and started kicking doors down.
That's it.
Yeah,
I'm
exactly.
a trailblazer.
Yeah, exactly. Lems, you want to wrap us out here, buddy?
All right, I got to throw back a little bit that, you got to rely on Jerry to always be able to pump his own bags and quote previous things. People need to write down when he's wrong, though, and quote him on these, because we feel like we do not do that enough to, knock him down a couple of notches. So yeah, we actually talked about this on Simplified on Monday. We were pretty much all shitting all over it, and the guy from far away, one of the co-founders, came on. I would recommend anyone to go listen to it. Me trying to regurgitate what he said, I will totally butcher. He defended it a bit. Overall, didn't really sway my opinion. I'm still, a lot with where Paul was at there. I'm surprised, Jerry, what you said about the Fatui, because I actually saw a bunch of people complaining about the Fatui and how it wasn't great. So interesting that, some people maybe liked it and some people didn't. Overall, though, I just see this as Dookie Dash as them trying to recapture some of the magic that Yuga had the first time. And to your point, Paul, on the speculative value of something that they could come out of left field, I think it's getting increasingly harder for them to do that as more time passes. They've swung and had a couple of misses in recent times, and I feel like they've really lost a lot of their traction. And I think they're trying to recapture some of that here by repeating some of their previous success with Dookie Dash the first time. But we got to be realistic about like what did the market look like when they did Dookie Dash the first time? What was their status? What was the floor of a base E, for example? Like people were speculating like crazy. It was like Dub's point at the start, without speculative value, like there's nothing really as exciting here about this. Before it was the key and what could the key be worth, and everyone's like, oh my god, it's the next thing in the Yuga ecosystem. But now that they've had and swung and had a few misses, it's really hard for them to come back and have something and say we're going to release this asset that's going to have tons of speculative value. So I think overall, like Faraway seemed like a good studio. They definitely know what they're doing. Like the guy who came on, can't remember his name offhand right now, but he made, he defended his case, and I have to, give credit where credit's due. He came into the fire of us all shitting on him and defended what they were doing. And, he made some good points. So I think if anyone wants to go back and listen to that, we probably talked about it for 30, 45 minutes on Simplified on Monday. But overall, in my eyes, from a Yuga perspective, this is them just trying to do something and get a win under their belt, because they've had so many failures recently that, and overall the sentiment around Yuga is down.
Love it. Dub and then Paul.
Yeah, I just want to bring up that they aren't like totally missing a hook here into the game. They do have $1 million giveaway, which is, I said it was just $1 million, but it is a large amount compared to most giveaways and things in the good space. And it's enough to be noteworthy compared to other esports. So there may be something there around the giveaway that we just might not see happen. That might be the big PR beat that, Web2 grabs onto. We just got to wait and see what happens.
Sounds good. Paul, last word.
Yeah. Well, first of all, I have to run off stage, but I'm going to be still tuning in, listening, and I'm hoping to come back on stage later in the show. But either way, I'll be here. I just really liked what Lem said, and I wanted to underline it. I we talk about this a lot on Gamify. We have now for a couple of years, and I don't hope that for the negative outcome for Yuga, but we always talk about how speculation is just like a very dangerous game to play, right? It's a very dangerous fire to play with, because the thing that Lem was mentioning is the other side of that coin, or really the cutting edge of that razor. If you are playing that expectation, that speculation game, and really it's all just about getting people excited about this thing that leads to this next thing, that leads to this next thing, and oh my gosh, you get into a position where you can't afford to miss. Like, you can't afford to make a mistake. You can't afford to not have the next thing be the next biggest thing, because then it all comes falling down. And I just think that we should all carefully pay attention to that. I think that there's lessons to learn from the companies that have played really close to that edge, that have been, really a lot about the hype, a lot about the inflated future value rather than the current actual user value that exists today. And I don't think that's good for any of us or for this industry. We can't obviously build businesses off that. We have to ultimately, at the end of the day, deliver something that someone wants to lose money to actually be entertained, right? That's how games work. That's how entertainment works. Rather than like the only entertainment value is, are we gonna, you know, get more money out of this thing? Are we gonna, that's just gambling, and that's fine. But I think we're all here for something bigger than that and something more than that, and that's certainly what I'm building for. So I just want to pay attention to it. I want to keep talking about it. It's good that we are willing to be critical of the titans in this field, because we need them to succeed. More failures and more misses doesn't help any of us. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I appreciate y'all's ability and willingness to be critical like that. It's always been my favorite thing about Gamified. I was mentioning to Sam when we were together in Singapore, actually. Anyway, I'll be here listening. Thanks for letting me talk.
Love you, Paul. Thanks for coming up. Always great insights whenever you're up on the panel, for sure. But we're gonna move on to the next topic. And before we do, just also want to let everybody know, like, Faraway is different from like Yuga, and I do think that Faraway is trying to move from like a publishing route with more of like what Paul just said. But Yuga, obviously being a titan in space, like really led with speculation. And to Paul bring up a really great point. Once you start drumming up speculation, you have to, finish. And unfortunately, that did not happen. Okay, next up is Parallel unveils new third-person shooter using avatar assets. And this is actually a third-party studio using the IP of that. And Koji, you can definitely fill in if you need to. But it's a 3v3 extraction shooter in which all 10,000 3D avatars can be uniquely played. The team is targeting an end of 2025 release. So their avatars NFT collection are built from 10,000 unique 3D models done in high fidelity. Decision that originally seemed overly ambitious for previously non-existent IP. Now that they're adding Colony and the shooter game, we're already seeing the potential efficiency. Should more games and studios build with this long-term mindset, even though the upfront cost is significantly higher, or is it something that will only work for the top 1% of studios that can pull it off? Lems, I did not see. I saw a whole bunch of hands. We'll go with Koji first, just to fill in any blanks that I definitely missed. Then we'll go with Tony, then Jerry.
No, I'm not going to fill in any blanks. I like misinformation and speculation. We were just talking about that. If we just keep kicking the can down the road, then people can just keep playing at the assets. But jokes aside, the question, like, should more studios work this way? Maybe yes, but also it's a fucking nightmare. There's just like a lot of shit to juggle, and you gotta have to be willing to do that. And I don't know, design a whole bunch of stuff. Like, I think part of the problem is you got to know also when to stop. Um, because if you have all these assets and the ability to like transpose them into a bunch of different fucking things, it's like, okay, well, how many things do you do, and how many is too many, and when does it get super insane, And luckily, we're in a position where we've been able to spin up enough teams to be able to handle this stuff, and we've like you mentioned, we are working with a third party studio to help us build the third person shooter. I mean, we're doing all the game design in house, but they're sort of doing the implementation for us, which is nice. But you also need the capital to be able to do all this stuff, and then also the capital to be able to like create all these avatars and rig them and do all the like. It's just a lot of costs up front, and it's a huge gamble. And whether or not it pays off, is yet to be seen. So I wouldn't suggest that anybody else necessarily rush into it. But I will say that now starting to see the fruits of some of it, it like really does make making more games simpler. So I don't know. I'm rambling at this point, but yeah.
No, it was a good ramble though. I think there's like also I was talking to Lems before this in terms of like characters and it's humanoid, right? So in terms of a lot of different types of rigs and what you can put it in with also the different types of engines that are being developed and the ease of those engines being able to be used. So definitely think it's a win for sure. We'll go to Tony.
Yeah, I'll say that the only way I would envision encouraging a studio to embark on this is if they had the type of leadership that that Parallel seems to have. I feel like I know Koji pretty well at this point. I don't know the rest of them, but Koji's kind of a one of a kind human that is incredibly talented from an artistic perspective, but also buttoned up and very businesslike. And I've only hung out with Kalos once in real life, but the dude seems pretty similar to that.
Tony.
And yeah, and so I think that if you didn't have that core, like live in the grind, live in the community at the base of the company, then I would advise that you just make video games, not try to do bigger things because that's hard enough. But if I were founding a company with people like Koji and Galos, then I would absolutely bias towards Moonshots because it feels like those are the guys to do it with.
Love it. Good points. There we got Dub.
Yeah, dude. I think it's brilliant, and I think it makes sense for games that are trying to build a metaverse-like multi-platform, multi-game experience. Like when I think about Illuvium, Star Atlas, all these guys who are doing multiple games and things, like I feel like they should be building this way, and this is the right way to be doing it and the most logical. And I agree that it's only for the studios that have the professional humans to execute on that and the budget. Like everything needs to be lined up in there, and this is like starting a megacorp. So like really it's everything's got to be dialed, but it makes the most sense for starting multi games and scaling that thing out, because it might be 3 games for Parallel this year, but 5 years from now, that could be 9, that could be 15. It's all a number of scales at this point, and it feels like a good blueprint for building.
We're going to go over to Jerry next, but I also think like just to push back on some of that, Dub, not so much what Koji's doing, but even just like, well, even if like what Koji was doing before, like if without like Parallel's specific name brand in the space, it's very difficult to actually create IP and like front loading all those assets, right? I know sometimes Illuvium is kind of the punching bag here, but at the same time, like Illuvium put so much effort into the high fidelity type of assets, but you can't really transfer that to other games in some nature, right? That's what I kind of also liked what Koji did with, and also Parallel Team did with the humanoid models, because humanoids can be put into a whole different parts of genres. But whenever you kind of go all in on high fidelity assets that are like very unique to the point where like you can't put them in different places, it becomes very difficult. So just wanted to kind of put that point in there on top of yours, Dub. Jerry.
Yeah, I love Koji, and I think everybody this whole panel is probably all in on Koji and what the Parallel guys do. But I would say most teams should look at what Parallel does and not do that, right? It's what they have done is very ambitious, and it takes like a level of talent and for like I don't know what's the word I'm trying to find. You need to be a fucking ballsy badass group of motherfuckers that have come together and decide to do something and to be able to do that. And I think when I look at Parallel, there's should be movies made in the future, or like Netflix documentaries about how 6 dudes from college like have pulled off what they've done. But it's like those stories are so few and far between, right? Whereas like we're in a space where most of these teams, I mean, how many studios have, in the time that Parallel's gone from being a concept to where they are now, how many businesses have failed at shipping like a thing? And and it speaks really highly, not to the lack of talent those teams have that have not pulled it off, but how much talent the Parallel team does have for being able to do it and do it as well as they have and to get to this point. But I think most teams just aren't that, or they don't have the money to be that, or to bring that talent in house, or they don't have the runway or the knowledge of the space or anything like that. So they have something really special going on there. But I think most teams should not bite off as much as they have. They've clearly shown that they have the ability to do it, and I actually have no concerns about like Parallel and their ability to ship any of these things. But like I said, it's a very special case. And yeah, I went to dinner with Koji and Kalos, and the amount of arguing they're willing to do over whether Atlantis is real or not, I can't even think what the business meetings go like, and when they make decisions. So I'm sure they're always making good decisions because they're willing to talk very openly and call each other out on bullshit. And I think this decision was not made lightly, but it's a one that they believe they can be successful in.
Yeah, that's hilarious. Jerry, who do you think won that debate?
Oh, Atlanteans are real, bro.
Which side was Koji on?
The anti.
Oh, got it.
I just want to clarify that it's all irrational confidence and like pure delusion that keeps us running.
Yes, you need that though. You need that.
Everyone's saying all these nice things, but like I think we're probably just like psychopaths in the end. And Atlanteans are not real. I still haven't watched that documentary, like
Was it
Ancient
Atlantis?
Apocalypse or whatever.
Oh,
But
got it.
I got to check it out.
Love it. Alex from AVAX.
Yo, Koji, I want to say all the positive things too, and I hope and wish you all the success, especially for my bags of Prime and PDT and everything else in your ecosystem. But oh my goodness, you are taking home run swings. You are not trying to get singles or doubles. You are going for the fences. And what I mean by that is, the community members that I talk to in Parallel have all the confidence that you're saying, Koji. We're like, hey, these guys can do it if any team can do it. But at the same time, there's a question of why not just focus on the TCG? Why not just continue to, grind away at what's been successful and what we can all see as a path to, getting bigger and flipping Hearthstone or something? Why take on the risk, right, of having a potential bad launch of Colony or a bad launch of Setao? That's the sort of, risk that you're taking with these new projects, and we all think that you can execute on it and be the next Blizzard and have crossover IP across all these different titles. And I do want my AI agents in Parallel Colony to be able to make me OP items and weapons and Setao. We can talk about that async, Koji. But at the same time, this market is so fickle with their attention and confidence in you. You're only as good as your last thing that you released. So all the confidence in the world for Colony, and I hope you all the success. But I do think it's a huge risk, and like teams should not be trying to take on that risk. I think Parallel is in a unique position because of the success that they have had with the TCG, that the market is willing, to have them swing those bats for the fences for these new, projects, because we've seen them execute before. But I think that just raises the bar of Koji, Kalos, and the Parallel team have to continue to meet that level of execution. And I'm confident they will, but it's a huge risk, and we'll see if they're able to do it.
Love it. Thanks, Alex. Next up is Corey, and then we'll go to Wills.
Yeah, so obviously this is it's fun to romanticize like huge projects and what Star Atlas is doing, what Koji's doing with Parallel, and those are like really fun to get excited about. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot easier for 99.9% of builders to actually focus on shipping product like as the main thing, and taking either a bunch of swings or not putting so much in one basket. And I think the other thing we got to consider is long ship cycles like this bring in a ton of additional variables that become very difficult to control. Market conditions. I mean, we're going to ride through, who knows, by the end of 2025, probably hopefully a bull market, probably into a bear, but who knows, right? I think just keeping hype and attention for the next like year and a half or 2 years is really, really difficult in this space. I look at things like just managing like Web3 and Web2 innovation. I know Parallels has done a great job of leveraging AI, but for some teams that started building 2 or 3 years ago, AI was just wasn't in the realm of like what needed to be there for a massive project. And now as that comes in, the expectation is, how are you building AI into your project? And so I just think there's a lot of like variables that come into play when you're dealing with long ship cycles that are unnecessary variables when you can pull back and focus on like rapid ship cycles. And then at the end of the day, new liquidity is like one of the most important things for any project. And each time you ship something, you have an opportunity for new liquidity. And every time you go a long gap between liquidity, but between new products, that liquidity tends to probably drain out more than it tends to pour in, which can be very, very difficult. And so I'm obviously rooting for all of these big projects because I think Web3 gaming, if we, we believe it is inevitable, we need like massive headline stories. It can't just be a bunch of kind of small winners. But I think that, there are some certain challenges. And I also think your motivation matters as a builder. Like, are you here to just like scrape some profits? Because if so, there's a lot of easier ways to do that than trying to like build these massive things that will forever kind of sit in the lore of what Web3 gaming was in its kind of early days. But if you're there to build a legacy and to really matter long term, I think you've got to take some of these big swings. And I think that's a really ambitious endeavor that I'm excited to see all these builders doing as well.
Well said, Corey. I think even like a modern example or even a Web2 example is Concord, right? Concord had like an 8-year cycle of development. And, back 8 years ago, there was Guardians of the Galaxy and there had so much inspiration there, but it did not hit when it finally shipped, which was a few months ago, and they had to shut down the whole project and 400 million in the tank. We'll go to Wills and then Joao, and then we'll move on to the next topic. Great discussion so far.
Yeah, to Corey's point, I think that expanding a universe and an IP and committing to large projects like this should be a reason to go out and seek funding and not a response to receiving funding. And a really good example of that is actually Bungie, makers of Destiny. So they were acquired by Sony for 3.6 bill in I think 2022, and then I think in August of this year they had to shrink their company 35% because after the acquisition they had all of these grand ideas about, oh, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and then the main game underperformed and they lost sight of what was really important, what was towing the line, and the reason that they had the money in the first place. So to get back to that core question of should other teams do this, I would argue no, and I think that that's been a bit of a consensus, which is good to hear. Focus on doing your one thing, focus on nailing what you can do, and then get diabolically ambitious. Once you're arguing with the biggest dogs in the space of your first project, then you go out and make another project. Like Koji's out here arguing with Hearthstone. Like they've ticked that box. That's when you go on and make new stuff. So I think they're doing great work.
Great job, Wills. Joao.
Yeah, just want to throw a question back to Koji maybe. How do you guys think about IP expansion and portfolio strategy? I'm curious how you landed on the genre and how you decided to kind of allocate here.
I mean, if we're being totally honest, how we landed on it was we had an idea and we thought it would be fun, so we started building it, and then we played it a little bit, and we were like, hey, that's pretty fun, so we decided to expand it, and that's kind of been true of almost everything in parallel. Wayfinder is another example. Colony is an example of just like stuff that we tinkered with. That kind of showed the group, and everyone was like, "Hey, that's like an interesting, fun thing." And I don't know that that's necessarily like the best answer or I don't know the most calculated answer, but like everything we've done is from the beginning. Someone said that it was like a bunch of college friends who decided to do this thing. Like that's basically how it's always been. And so like our guiding light has just been like, hey, is this something that like is interesting to us? Is it fun? Okay, let's like run it down then. Whether or not that turns out to be like the most sound business strategy. I mean, so far so good, right? But so we're just gonna keep doing it. But only time will tell, I suppose.
Yeah, it's a good point. I think Koji, whenever it was like a few episodes back, whenever you first kind of did like a teaser was mostly to show off the engine using the assets, and you guys were pretty apparent saying like, hey, no, this is not like a game and stuff like that. So I love now that you've tested it and like it's actually fun and you're actually putting it into the rotation. So absolutely love it. And I'm also a huge third-person shooter guy, so I'm also going to be jumping in there and playing it. All right, folks, it's halftime here on Gamified, and you know what that means. It's time to give a massive shout out to the true MVP behind the scenes, Avalanche, the official blockchain of Gamified. While others are busy banging their heads against the wall trying to make their blockchains work, Avalanche has cracked a code with Avalanche 9000, making deploying your layer 1 smoother than ever before. But why stop as just a blockchain? Why stop at just any blockchain when you can have your very own? With Avalanche, you're not just playing someone else's game, you're setting the own rules. It's not just a pipe dream. This is reality that giants like Shrapnel, Godzilla, and MapleStory Universe are always living. They're already living. They're creating custom-tailored gaming experience on their own Avalanche L1s, free from the usual developer headaches. And as we continue blasting through the topics, let's take a moment to recognize Shrapnel, the extraction shooter that's shaking up the gaming world like a frag grenade in a crowded room, and the official game of Gamified. Every month, gamers swarm to the STX events to snag Sigma, and when you're not busy extracting, why not dive into their comic books or join the lunatics on Discord? Shrapnel's handing out side quests that are actually fun, and they're doing it none other than on Starbase. Huge thanks to you, Shrapnel, the official game of Gamified. And as we reach the midway point of our galactic mission, it's time to highlight an essential part of your gaming arsenal, Starbase, the questing platform from Stardust that's revolutioning how you earn in the Web3 universe. Starbase isn't just a platform, it's your command center or high-stakes missions where you can earn gems by playing the most thrilling Web3 games in the galaxy. In the ever-expanding cosmos of Web3 gaming, finding a platform that rewards you for your time and skill is more than a perk, it is essential. Like mining in a rich asteroid fields with Starbase, your gaming experiences don't just entertain, it rewards and empowers. So let's get back to exploring new worlds, knowing that with Starbase, every quest is a step closer to galactic treasure. So thank you so much for the sponsors of Gamified. We love you, and we are going to get on with the show. So what would move you to purchase a gaming NFT or token in the current market? And just some setup here. So gaming has underperformed recently. We recently asked the Wolves, or I did actually, would drive you to purchase a new NFT or token. So this is not something that's currently out or anything like that, but something that is just hitting the market, like a new IP, a new NFT, or a new token that's coming to market. From 33 participants, there were a few key takeaways. Utility is a big factor, with token vouchers still the most prevalent utility. Some are waiting for the breakout hit to lead the way, as games have been failing to meet expectations, causing skepticism and burnout in the space. Despite this, a few gaming NFTs still performing well. Infinigods to go over 0.25, Pirate Nation NFTs over 1 ETH. Today the game jumps over 1.4, and that's usually around that kind of token voucher type of thing. A lot of people are expecting that to pay off in token later on. From newer launches, Raven Quest was consistent pick from the Wolves, not just for speculative value, but because they want to use it in game. So panel, what would move you to purchase a gaming NFT or token in the current market? And I'm going to go with Dub first, because Dub's buying everybody. So Dub.
Yeah, dude. Like, give me a gameplay video, a Magic Eden launchpad, and maybe a roadmap, and I'm fucking in, dog. Like, I don't know why. What happened? What's up? Where like, I haven't stopped buying. The market's great.
Love it, dude. So really for you, Dub, it doesn't really matter. Just like in terms of gameplay, you're going to buy it or anything like that. Does it matter the price, dude? Like you're just, somebody, if I put a 1 ETH out there and a gameplay trailer, you're going to buy it for me?
Yeah, dude, I'll sell all my Prime. It doesn't matter to me, man. Whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes, man. You're the man. Definitely the target audience that everybody wants. Jerry.
Hey, listen, Dub is what happens when people get too much crypto money. I don't have that, so I'm a lot cheaper. And I think that for me, it's really just like, do I believe that you can do a piece of what you are saying you're going to go on and attempt to do? And if so, I'll spend money on you. If not, I just won't even think twice about not, and I won't feel bad about it either. People in Web3 like get FOMO too much. Like that is a feeling I've never experienced before. So I think today the game, like Fableborn, I have no problem buying these assets or making moves on these guys, because like I come up here, they don't pay me to fucking hype them up, though I wish they did. Just so those teams out there know, I think you guys are both listening. But I have no problem going out and doing things like that. I just hyped up Parallel too. I have a bunch of their assets. So if you can do what you are attempting to do, and you've shown me that you have an idea of how to do that, I'm all in. If not, I'm not. I don't like to waste my money.
Just to double click that into Jerry, he's like, you go off the team, but like, is there a certain level of timeline that like is required of you? Like, let's say that somebody's selling it, and that's probably not going to, because your understanding of game development now with metalcore and now Uptick is like, do you think that like that's going to play a factor into buying something that might be out for like a year from now or 2 years from now, kind of like 2021, 2022, right? A lot of it was trailer driven, and then we bought it, and then we're still holding it. Like, is that okay with you as long as the team is going to deliver?
Yeah, I think that's when teams are like a couple years out, I don't mind waiting because like there will be another opportunity to buy, and I think that sometimes people lose sight of that. But yeah, if a game's not gonna be out for like 2 or 3 years and the team is telling me that, I'm like, well, the price is probably gonna get down to where it's at now, but like this other game might ship sooner, so like I have an opportunity to like make gains off of that, so I'm gonna go put my focus there. But I also like I don't know, I'm super, like I said, I don't really like to lose money at anything, so I'm very diligent with like portioning out like my portfolio, and like some things are like long term bets, like some things are just fun, some things are very short term, and I'm just looking to like get a short gain on them. I'm very prudent with stuff like that, and yeah, so if it's longer term out though, I'm just like, I'll just go put money into the stock market, because like
Right.
that's am I going to get a game that's 4 years out that might fail at any point over the next 4 years, or
Yeah.
can I just go buy Palantir and fucking invest into drone technology or something?
Quick story. I bought an option for Palantir, and let's just say it's worthless more than my NFTs currently. So
That's
Cody,
you're a bad options trader. That's not Palantir's fault.
brother, let's not bring this up. I know I brought it up, but let's kill that thing right away. Koji, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me it comes down to two things, right? It is the way that the team is using blockchain or NFTs interesting or novel? Like, if it's the same story that I've heard a bunch of times previously, I'm like, I don't know. Let's wait and see what happens here. Maybe I'm interested, maybe I'm not. Or is the game, itself either novel or interesting or whatever? Like, if the game itself seems like it's going to be good, uh, maybe I'm interested, but it that takes a lot more. I'm willing to like extend a bridge, let's just say, for interesting use cases for the Web3 side, and whether or not the game is actually going to be good, because anyone can slap together an enticing trailer and be like, look, we're going to build this thing, it's going to fucking like your head's going to fucking explode, and then like a year later they're like, oh, we're not actually doing it because we can't. Like, okay, great. But if you have like a pretty interesting or novel idea, even just from the ideation phase of like, this is what we want to do with Web3 and NFTs, then I'm immediately in, right? Because uh, most of what we need in this space is good ideas, right? Like, it's really easy. And I say this to somebody who like pulled on the lowest hanging fruit possible. It's really easy to be like, oh, all of your cards in this card game, you could trade them. They'll be NFTs. Or like, hey, we're making the shooter and the skins. Like that game Counter Strike that everybody trades. Like, for sure, we'll get to that volume. We'll make all the skins NFTs or whatever. Like, no, give me something more interesting and more compelling than that, and I'll buy whatever fucking NFTs you're selling at whatever price you want to sell them for.
No, that's a good point, Koji. One of the wolves actually used the term like step change innovation, which is like a significant, sudden, or large change that's usually an improvement. So, like, what are you going to do with the tech that is actually offered to you to make it so much better that like I have to use this product? So, really good points by Koji. I think Wills, you were next, and then we can go over to Lems.
Yeah, so most of the time where my mind goes when I'm looking at gaming NFTs and projects is I'll consider the closest Web2 gaming alternative, and I'll be like, okay, does this provide, like, would I spend this amount of money on this game? Like, would I spend $20 on an indie game? And do I think that this NFT is either going to provide me, as Koji said, like, a prospect of, being able to play something cool, something new in the future? Or do I think, the value is going to go up? And most of the time, the answer to that second part is no. So, I'm not a big investor. I haven't gone in on a huge amount of gaming projects, because I think until we can, answer the question, why would I buy this instead of, like I mentioned earlier, Balatro for $10? How is this going to get me more value than that? from a gaming perspective, not even from an investment perspective. So I don't go too heavy in on things, as you might have guessed, but yeah, that's kind of usually how I approach it.
No, it's a good point, Wells. Like a lot of people are like not really going heavy right now in this current market conditions too. That was probably one of the biggest leading indicators right now. And also,
He
oh,
doesn't
sorry,
go heavy on. He doesn't go heavy on his bench press either. I found out.
Jerry. Gosh, geez,
Deadlift
but
only. Come
and
on,
one
boys.
host,
We're moving big
second one host.
weights.
Yeah, Will's is a bodybuilder, so you know I'll make him my champion, and then you can outbench Jerry. Easy day.
I'll show no go.
So no, play me in volleyball, buddy, any day. Lems, you go up next, buddy.
Yeah, I'll say I'm picking up a little thing here and there, but I consider myself, I'm at the intersection between like, DJing and gamer, where I will DJ and speculate on things. Like token voucher definitely is still the biggest utility, because a lot of the time, like if you're looking at gaming assets that are hundreds or sometimes thousands of dollars, as Will said, you can go spend $10 on a game or $20 on a game on Steam. If you just want something for entertainment value, you can go do that. There's got to be something more than like too many projects say, oh, it'll be a cool skin and it's rare in the game or something like that. It's like that's not enough. But if there is, a token voucher associated with it, that's going to be valuable. Or there's going to be some kind of, asset generation or something like that you can get out of it. And there's like a meta game layer on top of it. That's where the NFTs are useful. But I'm definitely, PTSD and burned out from buying things in 21 and waiting for these visions to come to life. But I will say the one caveat that let's say I pick up a few NFTs or something and I manage to trade it in the short term, I'm guilty of losing out on opportunity costs where I feel like my cost basis is zero, and I will ride something to zero because I like the team or I like the game and I like the vision,
right.
But I feel like I don't have an expense on the line because I've already traded the collection a little bit and being able to de-risk myself, where I don't feel like I have money on the line, even though I would have made more gains if I had just dumped all my bags and sold everything. So that's something where I will hold for the longer term. But really, like, there's got to be some metagame layer and some opportunity. And I think Paul has used that word before of like in Web3, it's not just about like speculative value, it's about opportunity. And that's what like the NFT or token has to provide. But I'm still saying, I'll say like at this point in the market, I'm still looking at some gaming tokens, because if they're pretty beaten down, like I'm in that mindset of how much lower can they go, and certain ones depending on what they can do, and if I think the team can drive a narrative around it, because a lot of the time the utility of these tokens is pretty opaque and vague, and you're really just kind of banking on the speculative value of the project doing well and that driving attention to the token.
Right, that's a good point. And also, like Lems, you were one of the people that gave me like really good advice of like whenever you buy an NFT collection, sometimes you buy the floor, but then you put it a little bit higher than the floor, just in case somebody like wants to buy it. And I remember you telling me that around the time that I actually bought a parallel avatar, and the only reason why I bought like 0.05 or 0.06 over the floor was because it was named Jacqueline, and I was thinking about the skit Jay Quellen, and that was the only reason why I bought it. Like no utility, no nothing, didn't even read anything, and so yeah, Jerry's probably gonna clip that for later. But we'll go over to OG next, then Alex, and then Jordan. Actually, before we get over to OG, I want people to put down in the comments, what you guys are going to be buying right now. If you guys are buying anything, is it because of market conditions? Is it because you've gotten burned in the past? I just want to know that. I want to kind of read out some of those comments for sure. So would love to get your guys' comments while these last four people talk on the panel. OG.
Yeah, I'm surprised no one brought this up yet, but honestly, at this point, I feel like I just buy stuff to support like different projects. I think I stopped looking at price floors and charts a very long time ago, and it's kind of just been like, this is a team we know has been shipping for quite some time. They're doing a mint. I don't care if this is gonna go to zero or if it's gonna make me a ton of money. Like I remember, I mean, it's a very specific case, and I think everyone's bullish on wildcard. But I remember, like honestly, I just minted the wild pass, and I don't even know what the price is. I don't even know which wallet it's in. It's just like I like the game, I like the team, and I was like, fuck it, I want to be part of this. So yeah, I feel like more so now that stuff isn't exactly moving. I mean, it might sound like I'm a terrible trader. I don't think I am actually, but when it comes to like gaming projects specifically, I feel like a lot of it is actually just emotion and sentiment more than anything. It's like because I know you and you're about to launch something, like fuck it, I'll buy it or I'll mint it or I'll max mint it or I'll give out a bunch of wireless spots to my community. Like that's primarily it. It hasn't really been about like the upside for a little while. I'd say at least. Which is not to say that it isn't about the upside when the market goes crazy. Like that's a completely different. And I think even then, like founders also understand. Like when we first did our mint for a free mint, but then ended up at like what 1.5 ETH or whatever. Like when people were selling, I was like, fuck it, dude. You do you. Like great. Great result. But at the same time, we have people like Dub fucking buying at the very top. And I respect that. I think that just goes to show like some people are not really in it exclusively for the money. I think some people are willing to drop a bag or lose some cash on just being able to like support someone building in the space. So yeah, I think right now, if you ask me, honestly, I couldn't tell you like how up or down I am on the last 3 or 4 months, but I could tell you like the type of shit I've minted. Like that's a completely different story.
Right. Omar, just a quick question though. Like, is there like a specific type of thing that you're looking at to actually mint? Because I also maybe something that's maybe getting misinterpreted, maybe not misinterpreted, is that like you just mint everything, right? Just to support. But I don't think that's the case for you. You kind of mentioned wildcard. There's a certain level of caliber there. Is there a certain type of like thing that you want to support? Is there a price that like, hey, that's a little bit too much of my support? Like, well, is there? I would like to get a little bit more into that.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think no, I mean the quality thing is a bit more subjective, right? So for example, yeah, wildcard was like what 444 Matic or whatever the fuck it was at the time. I think Riftstorm's conviction thingy was like 1 ETH, but it was like you got a full refund if you staked it for a year or some shit. And like that's something I just minted for 1 ETH and then staked for a year. And honestly I don't know if in 1 year the thing will be worth anything at all. But it's stuff like this where the game does have quality and the team can actually ship a product, and also like the experience is not a pain in the ass. Like there are so many mint experiences where it's like you gotta wait and then the contract is fucked and then they gotta deploy a new contract, like shit like that. Yeah, sure, I'll probably stay away from every now and then, which is understandable. But I think when the team is great and you've got a high quality product, you think the game is actually going to do well, regardless of like how deeply integrated the asset you're minting is in the ecosystem. I feel like it's just a sign of support. So yeah, wildcard, Riftstorm, that type of quality is typically the stuff I'd just be looking to max mint.
I love that. Yeah, and Play Ref Storm had a really easy onboarding. And I think that's also why Dub said, like, give him a Magic Eden launchpad, and he will be there ready to put out his wallet for that. Next up is Alex, and then we'll go to Jordan.
Heck yeah. Well, unlike Omar, I am an absolutely terrible NFT trader, mainly because I don't sell. So I like to call myself a collector. So as a collector perspective for these like NFT games, what's up? What's up, Peyton?
I was just saying that's hilarious. Sorry. I was trying to ad lib, but it doesn't really work out in spaces.
Yeah, so as a guy that never sells, right? How do you get value from your NFTs, or how do you like look at them and not cry at night of all of the stuff in your hidden folder at this point? And for me, right, it's really about being able to use the assets, and if there's a way that you can get something back in return, like I think Koji, what he does, with the NFT cards versus the apparition cards, and being able to earn prime from that, like that's what I'm doing. I'm buying his battle pass every month so that I can get the NFT version of the card so that I can continue to earn prime. I don't think I've ever sold a parallel NFT card before, and I don't know if I'm gonna, unless they like totally blow up and they become like ridiculous, you have to sell. So my whole perspective is like, how can I recoup some of the capital that I'm investing in these NFTs and these assets so that I can feel like I'm getting a little bit of that cost basis back, because I'm very unlikely to recoup it from like actually selling the NFT itself. And also because like I don't want to like exit the community, especially if I'm like playing the game and having fun. That's like the other hard part, is like I want to still play the game if I'm having the NFT and stuff. So that's where I'm at. Like it's all about yield and putting the assets to work, whether that's financial, whether that's fun, and hopefully it gets me to a point where like I felt like that purchase was worth it.
Awesome. Great takes there, Alex. And then we'll go over Jordan, and then we'll go to Lems for some comments before we touch on Corey and Dub.
How do I say this? There's something that almost every single answer that everybody just gave has in common, which I want to put a counter idea to, which is almost every answer was basically about why would I buy something, like what motivates me to buy something now for some sort of potential reward later. And I think that that's something that our industry, especially, we're building games take a long time. We're all like very, very, very wrapped up in thinking about how do I motivate people to hold this from when I sell it to when the reason that they bought it happens, right? And we come up with all these incredibly, sometimes very overwrought mechanics to attempt to motivate people to not sell the NFTs. There's gaming DAOs out there who pitch themselves as partners to you, not shitting on them. It's amazing, where they're like, we promise, what part of what we do is we do not sell the assets for 60 days. I'm like, great. That, like, again, not it's a great organization, the specific one I'm referencing, but like it's a symptom, right? And I want to propose a different kind of answer, which is a motivation to buy a gaming NFT or a gaming asset is because there's something to do with it now. And I don't mean something to do with it now, like stake it to earn points for the token when the token launches, or to get the token voucher, because then when the token launches, then you get it at launch price or a little below launch, all that stuff, right? I don't mean I mean like an actual utility for the thing you're selling now. Right? Like the only reason everybody wanted all these golden nuggets that I was giving out was because you could take them and bid them in the auction and get a ship right then, and attempt to get a ship. These weren't even NFTs. They're actually still not NFTs. All Eureka assets currently are still entirely Web 2. NFT minting is coming soon. But while they're purely Web 2, there are still things you could do with them. And it works really, really well. If I had chosen to sell nuggets for money, people would have spent money on those nuggets to bid in that auction to get the ships. I potentially would have gotten like higher relative prices for those ships versus what they're actually going for so far in my auction that's like in its early days right now, for actually just spending straight money on the ships, and I just we're building games here, and we all have lots of capability of inventing technology and user interfaces and mechanics and all this creativity. And there's just like you're very capable of building fun games to do with the things right now that you're currently selling people. And then it's a FOMO question of, oh, well, if I want to play the game, I need the thing, and I want to play the game today, so I need the thing today. And you're not even thinking about future value. You're not even thinking about anything else. You're thinking, I want to participate in the thing, and I need it now. And I think it's an incredibly powerful mechanism that I've basically been like pivoting my entire game design and build plan around, kind of realizing this idea. And there's so much more coming on it. That I think is going to be a ton of fun, and also a ton of fun right now, or in a month or two, right? Like, no, but you know what I'm saying. Like, think about this entire other lever on this of like what's something somebody could do if they had your asset right now that they'd want to do now, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think there's like a lot of timelines that are going to be shrunk, hopefully, through what we've learned in the last 2 years. But I do also think that like the lever of like speculation is also a very powerful lever that we probably used too much, that it seems common. But I think that there's a lot of people out there that probably don't even know the power of speculation, that are from like probably the traditional gaming markets, because I do talk to a lot of those people, and they come over and they're like, you can do what? Like, yeah, I know, it's kind of crazy. But at the same time, there's just like all these type of mechanisms that we found that seem common because we're all in the same Twitter spaces, we're all in the kind of same stuff, but it's not that much. You can go to LinkedIn, you can go to Instagram, you can go all these ones, and it starts kind of saying like, oh, this is just not common knowledge out there, at least what I've seen from my clients. But Lems, you had some comments there, but all in all, Jordan, I very much agree with you, especially being a retail person in the space. I would love these timelines.
I like what you
to be
just said a lot too, as like a counterpoint to, we're in this bubble where we're all super knowledgeable about this one thing, and so it's easy for things to seem more obvious or commonplace than they actually are.
Yeah, but also the audience is also getting tired of it too, right? So you only can pull that lever so many times that the people get a little tired. Lems, you have some comments there, or maybe a comment to put out, and then I'll give it over to Corey and then Dub.
Yeah, we had Lunarity saying if I had any extra crypto money, I'd be in the same boat as Dub. Be buying everything, but still working my regular job to pay the bills, so I don't have money to buy anything. So, I think a lot of people can resonate with you there, Dub. And then Crystal is like 100% out of crypto right now, waiting to pounce on the next mega crash, Fiat Maxi. And all I could think of when I read that, though, was what's that classic line? I think it was. From Ansem or someone is like, you spend all day logged into the industry and you're severely underexposed to the thing you spend on Twitter all day. And it's like NFA and all that sort of stuff. But that's the only thing I could think of when I read that.
No, it's a good comments. And also thank you guys for commenting. It really does warm our heart when it comes to it. Corey, Dub, and then I also have a very strict question for Nicholas here because a lot of people mentioned Raven Quest, but we'll go to Corey first.
Yeah, so I like to think of like NFTs, particularly like gaming ones, as like two different classes and kind of a third subclass, but like houses and cars, and then also kind of this like vacation houses too, where like houses you expect to appreciate in value over time, like in the long term, and that's ultimately like one of the biggest values to owning a home. And so when we talked about like I think Koji and Jerry were a lot about talking about like people who are doing something different or innovating in the Web3 space. And you may not get like immediate value or utility out of these, but they're kind of a long-term bet that like you think these projects over time that more and more people are going to realize the value for you, and you want to be in on that early so that you can capture the value over time. And then I also think there's a lot that are more like cars, where like the NFT may actually depreciate in value, but you have immediate utility to it. Or I think that like Alex had talked about like what he calls like yield, or what I like to call asset earning assets, right? Like so if you have an NFT, like Photo Finish is a really good example, where I just take my photo finish PFPs, I stake them, they earn me crown. I could take the crown, I can like restake that to earn other stuff, and like they're actively earning me their yield, right? They're asset earning assets. And so over time, I may look back and something that I bought for X amount is only worth Y amount, that may be less, but it gave me either fun or utility or yield back over that time, and that makes it a smart or a good purchase. And then there's some things that are just more like vacation houses, where it's like I don't actually really care what the long term value is. I don't know what this is going to look like, but I like to buy projects of people that I like. And whether that's people that I'm going to run into at a conference and I never want to accidentally be like, I don't own your NFT and you're another builder that I love and admire. Like, I just want to make sure that I have NFTs of my friends that I go out and get and hold. And so those I think are a little bit more like vacation homes. They're more like emotional purchases than anything else, where I'm trying to actually figure out what's the long term value that I'm going to be able to get back. But yeah, I try and think of these things as like houses and cars.
No, it makes sense with your background, man. You have a lot of experience in the real estate market and everything like that too. So love it. Dub.
Yeah, I just wanted to add some more like context to the degeneracy as a whole. Like, really, it's interesting in this space because a lot of like groups have started to grown up, starting from tokens, starting from NFTs, what have you, and are now like getting large communities and now looking into games and going around games. And I've been following that a lot. There was a really interesting post from like Memento about like a fantasy league of creators in the space, and I saw Apex, who's like, or Addis, who's big in the Retardio community, and discovered a layer 3 DMT chain with a bunch of games and weird shit on it that like speaks to the Retardio community. And hell yeah, I'm gonna hop in that and experience that, because that's the only way to like see what they're creating, see why it's fun, see why people are spending egregious amount of monies on this Retardio community to be a part of it. And I think when games emerge, that's the best time to like get in and be a part of that, because that's when they're trying to get more people to come in at a lower price point.
That's a good point, Dub. I actually want to toss it over to Nicholas. And Nicholas, for people that don't know or are joining us now, is the current CEO and launching Raven Quest, right? It's actually been doing a few tests here. But before that, in 2017, he started a game called Raven Dawn, which he's ported over to Raven Quest. And what I wanted to kind of go over here is that one of the games that kind of were reoccurring within like the Wolves that people actually bought for utility wise, and it might be more of what Corey is saying with the car here. And actually, that's what I want to kind of dig into was for Raven Quest. They actually purchased, this is kind of not a new thing, but like you gave an option to be able to purchase land or any of these things for the game. So I would love for you to kind of like maybe give a background on that and kind of like what made you lead to that decision that maybe move some people that are currently in the space or have been in the space to buy.
Yeah, for sure. So apologies that I haven't been super chatty. You guys all have much better insight on the topics that have come up so far than myself. So I was just letting you guys go off with that, but been listening, and it's been great to kind of be a fly on the wall and hear your guys' input. Yeah, I think a big thing for us was really focusing on the in-game utility of the actual land, as you know, trying to avoid the speculative side a little bit. Even when we were doing our land AMAs, it was 95% of the questions were strictly on kind of its usage in game, and that's really the feedback that we've seen around it. And just trying to do a little bit of a different approach. I think we're in a fortunate situation where we do have a fully finished game. And so, you know, having that direct utility in the game and being able to use it in the game and stuff fully, it kind of changes people's approach. We also, of course, had a lot of Web 2 users, right? So onboarding people was especially important because they've never even touched Web 3 before. And so I think, you know, we took a little bit of a different focus, trying to make sure that 90% of it really was in-game utility. And I think that kind of changes the audience that you have. Obviously, more Web 2 people are interested. But then on top of that, it also kind of changes the expectations from it. A lot of people are just excited to have it, to actually be able to use it in-game because they want it for their in-game character versus strictly looking at it to, you know, number go up. And I think that helps a lot long-term as well, because you have people that they don't want to get rid of their land because, you know, they play the game every day and they want it for their character and the benefits that it comes with that, as opposed to, you know, it went up 10%, I should quickly flip it, right? So I think long-term, it's a lot more sustainable and just makes for a little bit of a better approach. In our opinion, of course, everyone has their own approaches.
No, I think you're also being a little humble here. So like you guys been building, you know, this game now for for 7 years, and I'm not done with you yet, Nicholas, because I also want this to maybe make a point of where we're currently going, and I think you raised the bar in a lot of ways with Raven Quest.
Thank you.
Can you for a little bit of your numbers in terms of like Raven Dawn, if you're comfortable to share too? I'm so sorry, I probably should have asked you this before, but
Yeah,
like in
no.
terms of numbers for like Raven Dawn, what kind of regions they were in, and also like how many probably have ported over to that, because like we're also a lot of builders here on the panel, right? And I think
For sure.
what you've accomplished with Raven Quest and all that stuff is really you didn't come out of nowhere, but a lot of people were probably not tracking you guys as
The
well.
Web3 space came out of nowhere. Yeah, I mean, MMORPGs take a very long time to develop, even pixel-based ones. So it was a 7-year journey, which had lots of ups and downs. Of course, you know, keeping energy up and stuff when you are building an MMO is so important because they are games that take so long to ship. But really, with that, we've been incredibly flattered by the reception of Raven Quest so far. Again, we did release the Web 2 side back in January of this year, reaching 220,000 monthly active users. About 40% of our community is from South America. We went weirdly like viral down there in 2020 and just kind of blew up in South America with that. And when we see similar numbers on Raven Quest, about 40% are from Brazil or South America as a whole, but mainly Brazil. And with that, there's definitely been a level of migration. Like a lot of people in the Raven Dawn community, they look at it as, hey, I love this game. I can go over there and get the added benefits of like asset ownership and possibly earning, right? Those kind of things I think bring a lot to the game as well. And so we've definitely seen some of a transition. But in the end of the day, there's also just such a huge community that's heard about us through Raven Quest, whether the Web3 users that really, you know, maybe don't touch a ton of Web2 games. Yeah.
Love it, man. Thanks for sharing that insight too. And I know probably some builders are probably going to reach out to you following after.
Happy to respond.
Yeah, I know you're always being very open, and that's why I offered it. Great topic, guys. Omar, we're trying to get you back up, man. I know X is being kind of dumb right now with you, but we're going to move on to the next topic, and it's a big deal, little deal, no deal. Ronin Incubates 7 new games, which was a huge kind of a banger when it comes to Token 2049. We were all talking about it whenever we were in there. So with Cambria, Pixel Heroes, Kuro Wilds, Party Icons, Extremeverse, Last Odyssey, and Infomon will all be migrating in the coming months. There's 2 questions that I have for the panel here, and I see your hand already shoot up, Dub, so thank you. How do you expect the games to be affected by this migration? And does this make you more bullish on Ronin as a whole, or does it risk oversaturation? And by oversaturation, really for the Ronin community. So I want to kind of hear you guys' takes on it. I also have some takes myself. But Dub.
Damn, it's a big deal, little deal, or no deal plus questions. Let's freaking go. Well, it's a huge deal because it's a big tone shift from Ronin compared to the past. They're setting themselves up to bring on more people, take more shots on goal, and be able to miss those as well. I really like how this is like a incubation. Their tones are like, hey man, one of these games might fail, but that's okay. Like we're going for it, and I think that's really great. It's a huge narrative change for Ronin as a whole. I think it's good for the ecosystem. It's good for their community. It's more games to play. Overall, like I'm mixed on this whole news because some of the games in there I did not expect to see a chain hop already from them, and as a consumer from the beginning with those games, I'm a little bit disappointed because merging and bridging over to a new chain is never the same for any game, and it's a complex thing for the consumers, and overall it's a rough experience. So mixed bag on it, but I think it's a huge win for Ronin, and I'm looking forward to see the next wave and how they take this tone change forward.
Great points, Dub. Koji, I saw your hand up next.
Yeah, I mean, I would also say that it's a big deal, and I think it's like anyone who's gonna even remotely try and make the argument that like, they may be overextending the community or inundating them with too many new things, like is not a gamer because they've never been on Steam before ever. I think that like Ronin, the idea of using what they have as like a content discovery makes perfect sense, and like some things are going to resonate with some people and some aren't, and that's just kind of the way that it should be. They shouldn't be responsible for making sure that users flock to every single game that's on their chain. Like I understand that that's like a great narrative to push forward, but like if we're gonna do this thing the way that we all claim that we're gonna do it, like not everyone's going to be playing every game that ever exists on Ronin. It's just like, okay, the good ones will rise to the top and the bad ones will fail, and there'll be some mediocre ones, and that's just how it should be. So I think this is a step in the right direction. I think it obviously makes sense that they're a bit more curatorial to start. Like, not anyone can just build anything on Ronin off the hop. Make sure that it suits their users' tastes, and then once they find enough success, then they can kind of start opening the floodgates. This is like really is sort of a Steam model. It makes a lot of sense to me.
For sure. And I actually talked to that Jiho about this. Actually, we were taking a grab to the Wolves dinner, and I asked him that exact question, like, hey, like, what do you think about the communities coming on, like from like Ronin, like to support every single one? Do you think that there's going to be some type of fatigue? And like obviously Jiho, that long pause, Koji, and he also kind of talked about like all of these people also are coming with communities, and the curation really comes from a mindset that every single one of these games also have their own community that is also being adopted into the Ronin ecosystem. And the way that Jiho looks at games is not just from the lens of like playability, but also are they bringing a like raving fans with them, and that was kind of the curation type of lens that we have. And I don't know actually if these 7 games are going to be going through like the publishing type of deal that some of like the Tatsumiko and other ones like Hydro went through, but really cool to see, kind of hear Jiho whenever I asked him that question. Next up is Corey.
Hold on, real quick, Jiho's story. Before, sorry to cut you off. I'm
No,
gonna let you finish, Corey. But real quick, Jiho's story. So I shared a panel with him, and every time someone asked him a question, he took like the longest possible pause. And I ran into him. Icy was there. I ran into him afterwards, and we were talking. And I ended the conversation by telling him how much I loved what they were building and everything that they'd done, and it's such an inspiration. And then I shook his hand, and he said thanks. And then he paused, and he's still pausing because he hasn't said a single thing about parallel in that conversation. So I'm waiting. I'm still waiting. Maybe next time I see him, he'll end the pause. But
That's
yeah,
pretty
go ahead.
Is that when I see big timed you?
Oh yeah. Truly. I was walking through the lobby of my hotel, and him and Jiho's were talking to each other, and he acted like he had no idea who I was. He was like, "No, I'm with the Axie guy right now."
Wow, I see.
Wow. He needs to watch Band of Brothers. I have an icy story. Maybe we'll start a support group here, Koji.
Yeah, we'll start a support group for Icy. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Icy, you never gonna live that one down. But Corey.
Yeah, so the 2 questions you had, the first one is like, is this oversaturation? And I would actually argue that it's the opposite, that this is consolidation. It's bringing more games to one place. So from a player experience, we don't have to bounce around to every single chain and all these different wallets and find games in all these different platforms. And I think this fragmentation is one of the biggest threats to Web3 gaming as a whole. And so bringing more games into one place, I think, is a really big deal from a player and a gamer experience. And like you said, hopefully a lot of these games are bringing their communities over to Ronin as well. That's one of the big advantages for Ronin to do this. I think it's TBD on like what this will mean for each game. There's a lot that goes into this. Like, what does a migration look like from your NFTs or your tokens if you have those live? Will your existing community follow you, or will you get a whole bunch of backlash there? You're now in a place where you get more exposure from players, but you're also, it seems like, competing with a lot more games at the same time. And so I think it's TBD. Like, can these games all have the same experience that something like Pixels did, where it was a massive benefit for both Ronin and Pixels making that migration. But at the end of the day, I have to imagine that these games aren't at like peak like energy and momentum right now, and then deciding to make that shift. And so I'm not familiar with all 7 of these games, but I can tell you that Ronin had a call with us earlier this year, kind of said, "Hey, would you guys be willing to move from Solana over to Ronin? We think that you guys are a great game." And we had so much momentum at the time that it just wouldn't have made any sense. And so, I got to imagine. And so it was, listen, I've got an incredible amount of respect for that team, and think Ronin has some incredible things. But for us, we didn't want to disrupt the current momentum that we had by making a shift like this. So this is probably games that are in a position where they are willing to risk whatever they have for whatever that future could be. And hopefully they can all stick the landing.
Good points there. Over to Lems.
Yeah, I think a key thing to note on this is a new program for Ronin. They're calling it the Forge program, where it's kind of like this incubator sort of accelerator kind of thing. And it's not like their flagship titles. When they bring these flagship titles in, like they've done with like Hydro and Ragnarok and like Pixels, right? They've done a huge amount of marketing and support for them. I don't see this as the same as that. This is like a new expansion for Ronin as they're maturing. They're saying, okay, we're going to look at some of these more indie games. We're going to look at some different things. We're going to bring 7 in at once. And maybe they're going to like try and find a couple of winners here to become new flagships on their chain. And something that's interesting is they actually allow cross chain on this. So Corey, maybe something that you could even look into later, because I know Cambria are not migrating from Blast. They're going multi-chain and they're doing Blast as well as Ronin. So I think there's an interesting thing here. Is I think it's Ronin trying a new thing and they're experimenting, which just shows that they're continuing to grow and mature and they're bringing in new users. And I think it's going to be very different to their regular offerings. And I'm pretty excited to see how it all unfolds and how they do with this.
That's a good point, Lems. Like probably the flagship games are like kind of the carousel on Steam. You can like wish list and all that stuff. Really cool, really cool. Jerry, and then Wills.
Yeah, man, this is a big deal. For some of the reasons that other people have said, but like we always talk about distribution in Web3, and I kind of like, it's like I fall asleep every time people are like, "Oh, distribution is the challenge," and distribution and all these things, and I'm just like, "Fuck, we get it, all right." Distribution's hard, and it is. I think I've just started talking about it, but like, and I say as I'm about to talk about it, like, but you know Ronin has got it figured out, right? So I think if you're a game looking to grow and to continue to build, and Ronin approaches, you take that call and you take it very seriously, because like they have figured out. I mean, they have more. Like I said, big data guy here. They have more data on how to reach a Web3 audience and how to ship Web3 features than anybody else out there, probably in the world. And so it's you have a superpower when you get tied in with Ronin, in that like distribution becomes less of an issue, right? There's still going to be an issue, and you still have to figure out how to like break out of the Web3 norms, or the Web3 guardrails that have been put on. But it becomes a lot easier when you have a ton of people who are already playing your game and already interested in what you're doing, just because of where you exist. So I think that like that can't be discounted in any way, and we've seen that effect on a lot of games that have touched Ronin. And on the other side of that, like Corey was just saying, what his experience was. If I'm a chain and I have some flagship titles that I'm taking really seriously, I'm getting on calls with them real quick and being like, "Hey, if Ronin calls, call us back immediately so we can up our offer." Because I think you see that Ronin has a lot of power right now, and it's a very attractive call to take. And if my phone rang and it said Chihos, who I also had an embarrassing interaction with in front of Peyton, and I thought his name was not what it was, and I had no idea who he was, so got him back for you, Koji. But Yeah, I would be excited and be like, yeah, I'd consider this heavily, even if there's no money attached to it, because there is a player base, there is a lot of liquidity that comes with it, and they're building up a whole support system around them with like Hantao and what Moku's doing that can really bolster things. Like when you move to Ronin, you just get such a rising tide effect right now, and I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely can validate that Jerry did not know who Jiho was. He was kind of doing that shoulder like type of thing, get this guy out of the circle because he has no clue who he was. And then I told him, yeah, here, this person that you're trying to cut out of the circle, this is the founder of Sky Mavis, co-founder of Axie, and it was freaking hilarious.
And then he did the nicest thing ever and gave me merch. He was, I thought his name was Ben, and I was like, hey, what do you do, Ben? And he was like, well, that's not my name, first of all.
Dude, it was so good. And then they gave him a bandana for sure. Love it. We'll go over to Wills and then Tony.
Yeah, so I think the real question that's come up a lot before on Gamified is, what values can chains bring to games, and vice versa, what value can games bring to chains. And I think that the core of, whether this is a big deal or a little deal is whether it contradicts the long time theory that has kind of, at least what I think has been the consensus, that games bring all the value to the chains. That a chain doesn't really have much to offer in terms of users and needs to incentivize games to build on them. If Ronin has been able to switch up that dynamic and actually provide sort of raw users that can incentivize games to move there, that's huge. That's huge for how all other chain conversations need to be going, because you can't just compete on the long-term vision as everyone has been, and maybe that's the best way to do it. But when you have the shiny, we have a bunch of users that will play your game right now sort of incentive right in front of you, that's going to change how you make decisions. So I think it is a big deal. I think it'll, I don't know, I'm very wary of those kind of short-term incentives, short-term decisions, and on how they're being made, because a lot of that comes back to how much is user acquisition in the market right now, and where can we find the cheapest user acquisition. That's why we see people going to Ronin. That's why we see people going to Telegram. And I think that long term, at the way that they're currently going, these strategies have a dead end, and eventually you're going to need higher value users, so you're going to go somewhere else. But if Ronin can capitalize off the low value initial users that they have, and build out an ecosystem where they're bringing in liquidity that can support long-term gameplay and long-term users, then that's going to be really exciting. So very excited to see where that goes.
Yeah, I hope so too. I hope that Geo's strategy of like getting more communities, getting more people, because once you have like a really big body of users, you can start kind of like moving them and facilitating them and putting things in front of them and kind of move them with a mob. And I think that's why people really liked Ronin, why Axie, because Axie people are sitting on 2017 ETH, but also Axies, right? And then that liquidity ends up becoming more powerful and powerful every single day. And so definitely love what Ronin's doing and concur with everything that you're saying, Wills. We'll go with Tony and then we'll go on to the next topic.
Yeah, I would just say I think it's a huge deal, and I won't add too much to the repetitive commentary, but I do think that here on Gamified, we're going to call it that Ronin has probably the best shot out of anyone right now to end up as like a long-lasting publisher, right? I think that's really what everyone is saying, is that, and I agree. I would take that position as well, that Ronin has weathered a few storms, and companies that do so usually are rewarded by both the market and their customers afterwards, and they've continued to expand with a cohort of really attractive entertainment content. And so I believe that in like 2 or 3 years, we're going to be talking about Geo like we're talking about Andrew Wilson or John Riccitello over at EA, or the Activision crazy guy Bobby Kotick. Like I think that's the kind of organization that we're seeing being built here. Obviously, it takes a long time to entrench yourselves and make as much money as those guys have made. But I think that's where this is going. I think someone said consolidation earlier, and that was a great way to put it.
Yeah, it was a really great point. You mean Ben, by the way, Tony, not Geo. But yeah, next up is AVAX, Alex, and then we'll go to Jordan to finish off.
Heck yeah, Tony, we are in the middle of the land grab war right now. It's like when Uber and Lyft were going around the world trying to figure out, who's can control each country. Um, and I think right now, there's a lot of publishers who are doing just that. All these L1s that you see can be sort of categorized as that publishers, and they're trying to get the games to actually build on their chain. And whoever has the best games, I don't remember who was talking about that, is actually going to, create the moat for their chain, to be the leader of whatever vertical that is. And so, props to Ronin for getting those 7 games over here at Avalanche. We're doing the same thing. We just landed Maple Story. And we have a lot of games coming that are going to build their own layer 1. Shout out to Solana Foundation. Shout out to Arbitrum and all the different chains that are trying to do the exact same thing. Support the titles that are building on their game. And I think at the end of the day, whichever chain has the best games are going to be, the leaders in the space. And I think if you look at Web2 gaming, there's going to be multiple winners. You see Steam, you see Epic, there's multiple commercial distribution networks out there for projects and developers. And so I think you're going to see the same thing in Web3, just for whatever flavor that you need.
Love it. Great take, Alex. Next up is Jordan.
I actually think that this is like a nice full circle moment for this episode of Gamified as well, in the topic of doing things in the right order, being like the most critical thing in the world, right? Because why is Ronin in the position that they can do this? Why can they start being, why do they have distribution? Why can they start actually flexing as a publisher? They started as a game. They started as the game, right? Axie, with all of the money. And then it's actually like Ronin is a phenomenal example of adapting and pivoting from catastrophe, because they actually turned what was, the most public collapse in the history of our industry into its greatest strength. Because what Ronin did is they had, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but they had all these people basically with all this trapped Axie liquidity on their blockchain. And then they said, here you go. Here's a new game. We're going to bring a bunch of new people in. All of you can take your money and you can throw it into this. And then they delivered on that promise. And so it's an example of what you can do once you have a group of people already, right? It's also an example of like taking care of your whales and delivering on promises that you make, whether they're explicit or implicit, to people to make them trust you. But this goes all the way back in terms of doing things in the right order, all the way to the conversation about parallel early on. And again, like the only reason, because my first thought when I saw the parallel announcement, the first thing that popped into my head was, can you not make enough money off of a TCG? And then I like thought about it for a little bit. I was like, that's not the right thought at all. The answer is you absolutely can. That's how they can take this risk, right? The only reason, and especially because of the stuff about them with the 3D assets and having this huge library, it makes it way less costly to try stuff like this. And they've really intelligently outsourced the bulk of the development to someone else as well, so that they're not too distracted. But like, the point being, again, I'm highly skeptical of projects that are pitching and building something that is a whole ecosystem from the start, that is a whole publisher, a whole distribution channel, a whole launcher, a whole everything else from the start. Because like literally genuine, I know it seems like you should be able to do it, right? I know it's also super investable for VC firms. But VC firms, I would love if anybody has an actual track record for how down bad Web3 VCs are over the last few years, how many of the things that they've actually invested money into have worked. I think they're god awful at picking investments, because VCs have to create a financial logical structure that justifies the investment, right? So they end up investing into things that are incredibly crowded fields that are super scalable, but like literally actually look at the evidence. The only game launchers out there with traction, both were game studios that had a hit game and then made a launcher and then used all the liquidity from the people that were in there for that game to start to dribble into the other games, right? So again, like anytime you look at it, you're going to see the successes are people who did it in the right order and sometimes didn't even plan it. Actually, a lot of the times didn't even plan it out, right? They just started with the number one thing, which is the distribution, which is a group of people who will do the thing you tell them to, basically.
Love it, love it. We have the last specific topic before we get into the MVP, and I want this to be a quick fire because I think it's a really fun question. All right. So, would you rather is the subject here, and only play games that have been created before now, as in anything before 2024. So you have all of the library of games prior to 2024, or only play games that haven't been released yet or don't exist from here on out till eternity. Right. You're stuck with your decision for the rest of your life, and you're happy with the games we already have today, and never getting to play new ones, or are you going to take the risk and only play new games? So we're just going to do a quick fire. Whoever has their hands up, I'm going to call you, and then we can get going to do the MVP. Lems, you are up.
All right, I'm going to cheat right off the bat, and I'm going to say new games, but remasters still count, so that's how I'm going to get my fix of nostalgic games.
Boo! What is that answer?
What a cop out. We'll go over to Dub to save us. Dub, give us entertainment.
Yeah, dude, fuck all these games. Like, give me all the new ones. Nothing is worth playing now for continuous amounts of time. Can't wait to have some new stuff.
Love it, Dub. Jerry, you're up next.
I'm gonna play old games because I play like one new game a year, and I haven't worked through my catalog like at all. So I'm still playing games from like 2016, and I feel like I haven't even touched Binding of Isaac. So Koji makes fun of me every time we talk.
Love that. Next up is OG.
Yeah, definitely old. I think they don't make them like MW2 and FIFA 14 anymore. So I'd rather be stuck with those than all the new shit.
Oh, FIFA 14 was a good one. Omar, you know what? I like you. Koji.
Yeah, I have to go old games only because the sheer like the clip at which you can release new games is not even close to you know for every one good game that's new that I find, there's like about 1,000 that I'm gonna be like, no thanks. But like the old games, I can just dig through catalogs until I find what I like. So I think that old has to win out.
Love that. Next up is Wills. Then we'll go to Tony.
Look, I'm as big a fan of the classics as anybody here. I've played a lot of them. But like you guys are forgetting, this is all the games in the future. That's infinite games. This is 4,000 years like VR, like in your brain running an actual universe in your hands kind of thing. Like I feel like new games is the math number here. Like there are some great old games, don't get me wrong, but come on, people.
I know Wills is the data guy now, Jerry. He's going by, infinite.
Hey, dude, stick to your lane.
And you guys are missing out on the fact that we can just like go into this VR world and then play the old games in a new form.
Lambs, it does not count. No way. Okay.
I can play as Jerry in the future.
Oh, there you go.
Hey, dude, you don't want to step into this world.
Next up, Tony.
Yeah, I'm going with old as well. I'm currently on my sixth retro console handheld device in the household. I just ordered another one, so I'm all about the nostalgia, baby. Give me Chrono Trigger 20 times a year, and I'm a happy boy.
Love that, Tony. Next up, Alex.
Dude, it's all about the new stuff. The reason why we have nostalgia about Halo, about Modern Warfare 2, about even Fortnite is because we got to play them during their prime, during their peak when they're just on their come up. So I don't know what the next wave that's going to go mainstream, whatever, Fall Guys, Discord Among Us, but I want to be in it. I want to be involved in that cultural moment. You guys can be lame boomers playing your old games. I'm going to be playing with the new kids getting clapped.
I love that. All right, Joao, you're up.
Give me the new, but yeah, you gotta expect that the new stuff is gonna be better somehow, right? Otherwise, what are we even doing here? Like we might as well just pack our bags and just play the same old games. I mean, the whole industry is built on new launches. I gotta expect some of the builders here at least to concur.
Yeah, OG, I have not seen somebody smack that emoji faster than your thumbs down. Next
What do
up
you
is
mean the
Corey.
games
Then
are
I'll...
getting better, bro? Like Call of Duty is living proof that that's not true.
Oh my gosh. We'll
I
see,
think it's
man.
just an expectation, right? You gotta hope that they get better, not that they
Hope
necessarily
is
are
what
better
kills
already.
you, Joao.
Yo, hope is the enemy.
Literally, preach, brother.
Yeah,
OG and Jerry just
I
hate
think you need something to
24/7.
look forward to, right? New launches is like, I mean, what do you got to put your anchor in? Otherwise, like, again, what are you left with? Just the MW2?
Yeah, I'd die
Yeah,
happy if I'm the
OG's like,
best
yeah,
Call of
yeah.
Duty I played, bro. But anyways,
Oh my gosh. No, I love it though. OG is going to be, that's the reason why he's like such a harsh critic. That's why he made actually games3.gg is to make sure that score is never taken down for Modern Warfare 2. Last but not least, Corey, right?
Yeah, so I define myself as an early console gamer. I kind of stopped playing once I left high school and haven't really got into games in a long, long time. And I don't own any early consoles, so I don't do a lot of that gaming. But I have a slightly different take here, which is I think Web3 gaming is all around us. It just looks very different than what PC and console and mobile games have looked like in the past. And I think NFT mints that we talked about earlier today, this is a form of gaming. I think the tokens that we own, I think Pump.Fun, I think Poly Markets, I think all of these are Web3 games. They take a little bit of a different form. And so I'll take the future games all day long. I think Web3 is innovating what gaming looks like, who can participate, how we can participate. It just looks very different, and I'll take future of gaming.
There you go. The Web3 casino is live and it is the future. All right. Next up, we have the MVP of the panel, and then we are going to end off by thanking our wonderful sponsors. So I'm just going to call on people rapid fire because we're already at time. So Alex, MVP for you. Next, Lems.
Give it to Corey.
You didn't even give the guy a chance. He was actually like unmuting here. So, Alex, what was that? Go ahead. I'm writing them all down.
Give it to Corey. Honeyland.
Corey. Dub. Dub's probably going to vote for himself. Next up,
Dub's
Wills.
dead to us.
Yeah, Dub's dead to us. Wills.
I'm gonna go Jordan because I really liked his full circle moment near the end, and I had the memory of a goldfish.
Nice. He was just the last one. Great. Tony.
Wills, I could listen to that silky smooth Australian voice all day.
Love it. Joao, who do you got for MVP?
I'll give it to Paul. I think he had a very good take in the beginning and then left, and that was all that he needed.
You guys, your take sucks so bad that Paul's one take shit on all your guys'.
I love it so much. It's the best it's the best burn. Really, it is. Corey, MVP.
Yeah, for me, it's OG. I loved all his takes.
I love it. Koji, who's your MVP?
Yeah, my MVP is Jerry for sticking it to whatever his name is. I can't even remember the fake name that you guys used. Ben.
Yeah, you got him back for that. I think Coach is going to be very happy tonight when he goes to sleep that you called Jiho Ben. Next up, Omar.
Yeah, I gotta give it to Jerry. I think he gets too much stick. So yeah, my guy.
Love it. Jordan, who do you got for MVP?
Peyton, I'm giving it to you, man. You did a great job hosting, but you honestly, just like a guest, added in a bunch of really smart shit throughout the whole episode. So you're my MVP.
Man, Jerry, who do you got?
Peyton, you did do a good job. Jordan, you kind of make me look like shit when you make me go after that. I'll go OG, dude. Modern Warfare 2 was like the last Call of Duty I played, so I'm doing great things on a scale of 1 to Modern Warfare 2.
Oh gosh, geez, now you guys are just stroking each other's egos. All right, Lems, who do you have, buddy? We have a tie between OG and Jerry, of course.
I got Corey, so we have a three-way tie. Is Dub back to break the tie? You there, Dub?
Dub's playing off the grid. Get in here, man.
Yeah, I know exactly.
All right. It's all on you, Peyton. Who you gonna tie break this? Come on.
to give it to Jerry because Jerry is also going to be taking up the mantle next week, and I love him to death, man. Jerry doesn't give enough credit. I was even just chatting to him in Discord, saying, "Man, you just make the show in terms of just being funny and all that stuff because you have all these big brains and big takes. Not saying that Jerry doesn't have big brain takes, which is kind of what I'm also saying, but at the same time, it's just entertaining. It makes it fun, right? And I come in, and I tune in, and of course, I hear Paul and all that stuff. But Jerry always those one-liners and all that stuff. The banter with Sinjin, dude, I love you to death. I'm giving it to Jerry.
Well, I guess you get your 60
what
seconds
happens now?
Jerry.
Yeah, you get your
60 seconds. Do your thing.
Oh, okay. I think this is the second time I've won this, so happy to be the first two-time champ. Peyton, don't ever give me a backhanded compliment like that ever again. Yeah, I don't really have anything to plug. I wasn't prepped for this, so I don't know. I'd like to help you guys market your games. Stop doing shitty marketing, and I want to cede the rest of my time to OG and Corey.
Love
First
it.
of
We're
all,
not.
how dare you say that you're the first two-time champ? I take umbrage with that.
Yeah, it's definitely
Jerry.
not true.
I
Koji, you've
I
done it. I've
rescind
done
my
it.
vote.
Lots of people have done it.
Wait,
I
Koji, should I just tell the story of trying to get to that dinner with you with the rest of my time?
Oh yeah, this guy had to buy a ticket for the F1.
Dude, oh my god, that was the worst day of my life.
Oh my gosh. See, this is why it's freaking amazing. And I also just, as a fan of the show, I don't get to be on the panel as much as I want to be, but it's always been just great listening to you guys and the banter. It literally is one of the best shows on Web3 Gaming. It is the best show on Web3 Gaming by far. So want to thank our sponsors, though, as we finish it out. So we finished another epic episode of Gamified. It's time to pay tribute to the unsung hero of the show, Avalanche, the official blockchain of Gamified. Avalanche has quietly revolutionized the gaming world, making sure that anyone with a vision can turn it into reality with their groundbreaking Avalanche 9000. It's never been easier, cheaper, or powerful to deploy your own Layer 1 blockchain. Plus, keep an eye for AVAX Summit in Buenos Aires this October. It's coming sooner than you think. As we wrap up today's epic episode, it's time to give final nod to the legends behind the chaos, Shrapnel, the extraction shooter that's got more layers than an onion and packs more punch than a shotgun at close range. Between the high-stakes STX events and the scramble to extract Sigma, Shrapnel keeps players coming back like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet. And don't forget the lunatics on Discord, because if you're not playing, you're missing out on the most fun you can have while still technically being sane. So here's the Shrapnel, the game that's been part strategy, part chaos, and all adrenaline, the official game of Gamified. And as we prepare the smooth landing bringing towards Journey to a close, let's take a moment to discuss the navigational tool that every game developer needs, StarNet, the user acquisition powerhouse from Stardust in the vast and ever-expanding universe of Web3. Getting players for your game isn't just a challenge, it's a monumental task. But with StarNet, you got the equivalent of hyper-advanced navigation system that ensures players find their way to their game efficiently and cost-effectively. StarNet is the more than just a tool, it's the gravity well that puts players into your orbit, solving one of the most critical problems in Web3 gaming. Thank you to Stardust for being the official infrastructure of Gamified. Thank you so much for all of the guests. Literally, Alex from Avalanche, Lems, you freaking co-host the mostest. Freaking Dub, love you, even though you didn't vote for MVP. StarNet, Wills, thank you so much. Joao,
I'm sorry.
It's okay. I hate you. For the win, Corey Wright, Honeyland, love you, dude. And Tons of Dungeons is freaking tons of fun. There you go. I wish I prepped that before. OG, freaking the man. Was great seeing you in Singapore. Jerry, I already said my piece. I'm not going to say it anymore. Shout out to Ben. And then lastly, Jordan, you're the man, dude. Thanks for coming in. And love you to death. And I'll see you for game night tonight, buddy. Are we playing Supervive? Or are we playing, because Supervive servers are live too, aren't they?
Yo, I'll play.
Anyways, off the grid or Supervive.
You know I'm there for the
I know you do.
OTG's closed. We're playing Supervive.
Hey,
Okay.
you did a great job, dude. Fucking
Thanks, buddy.
outstanding co-hosting.
Love you. Love you. Love you. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next week, same time. Jerry's taking over, and he's going to be so much better. That's why I asked Sam if I could go first. I'll see you guys next week.